It is 3:17 a.m. The room is perfectly quiet. Your body is exhausted, sinking into the mattress, begging for sleep. But your mind is a war zone. You are staring at the ceiling and the tape is playing again. You know the tape. A conversation from 5 years ago. A decision that ruined an opportunity. A relationship you sabotaged. A moment where you were weak or foolish or blind. You close your eyes, but the ghost is still there. You feel the exact same hollow ache in your chest. The same heat of shame rushing to your face. You are replaying an unchangeable past, negotiating with a phantom. You think if you just analyze it one more time, somehow the outcome will change. It will not. You are dragging a massive iron anchor across an endless desert, wondering why you are so exhausted. We need to look closely at this pain. We need to peel back the layers of this specific agony. You call it self-reflection. You call it holding yourself accountable. You think that by punishing yourself for the past, you are proving that you are a better person today. You believe that if you just suffer enough over your mistakes, you will somehow balance the cosmic scales. You believe that guilt is the toll you must pay to be redeemed. Look closer. This is not accountability. This is a prison. And you are both the warden and the inmate. Every time you drag that memory to the surface, every time you let that ghost sit at the foot of your bed, you are making a choice. You are practicing suffering. You are letting an invader breach the walls of your mind. But it gets worse. 2,000 years ago, the ancients recognized this sickness. They saw men of immense power, generals who had conquered nations, emperors who ruled millions, paralyzed by the exact same invisible chains. They called it a disease of the imagination. You are not living in reality. You are living in a graveyard, and you are spending all your vital energy trying to breathe life back into corpses. Think about the sheer arrogance of regret. Yes, arrogance. This is the diagnosis you do not want to hear, but you need to hear it. Your regret is not a sign of your high moral standards. Your regret is your ego refusing to accept reality. Your ego cannot stomach the fact that the younger version of you was flawed. It cannot accept that you were ignorant or scared or deeply broken. The ego demands perfection. It wants a pristine history, and when it finds imperfection in your past, it tortures you for it. You are punishing your present self to protect the pride of your past self. Let that sink in. You hold on to the pain because it is the last remaining connection you have to what you lost. If you drop the guilt, you have to admit that the past is truly gone, dead, uneachable. As long as you feel the sting of regret, the memory stays alive. You keep the ghost around because you are terrified of the empty space it will leave behind. You think this anchor makes you strong. You drag it behind you every single day. When a new opportunity arrives, you feel the sudden heavy pull of the anchor. You hesitate. You doubt. You tell yourself you do not deserve success because of what you did back then. When someone tries to love you, the ghost steps between you. It whispers that you will just ruin this too. You have convinced yourself that this heavy, rusting iron of regret is keeping you grounded. It is not keeping you grounded. It is drowning you. Look at what you are doing to your own life. You are draining your energy before the day even begins. You wake up already exhausted. You are irritable. You are constantly on edge. You cannot sit in silence without the tape starting to play. You are entirely consumed by a timeline that no longer exists. You are missing the only thing that is actually real, the present moment. You are blind to the people standing right in front of you. You are deaf to the opportunities knocking on your door. Because your eyes and ears are locked on a phantom. But here is what nobody tells you. The guilt is a comfortable hiding place. It is a heavy blanket. It is a shield against the terrifying responsibility of moving forward. If you are a terrible person who makes terrible mistakes, then you do not have to try anymore. You can just sit in the ashes of your past and play the victim of your own history. Regret is the ultimate excuse for staying exactly where you are. Be honest with yourself. Is the guilt really about becoming better, or is it an excuse to avoid the terrifying work of rebuilding your life? The Stoics understood this psychological trap perfectly. They knew that a man consumed by his past is a man who has surrendered his future. He has handed the keys to his inner fortress over to an enemy that cannot be killed. Because you cannot kill a ghost, you cannot fight a memory. Every time you swing a sword at it, you only exhaust yourself. The blade passes right through. This is the absolute tragedy of your condition. You are fighting a war that ended years ago. The battlefield is empty. The banners are torn. The bodies are buried. But you are still out there, swinging your blade at the wind, screaming at the shadows, refusing to leave the mud. You think you are honoring the past. You are just practicing death while you are still alive. You need a cure, not a gentle word of comfort, not a soft pat on the back. You do not need someone to tell you that it was not your fault. Maybe it was your fault. Maybe you broke it. Maybe you ruined it. Maybe you were entirely undeniably wrong. Good. Now we have the truth. And only the hard, cold truth can be forged into a weapon. The medicine for this disease is not denial. It is a radical, brutal acceptance that most people are too weak to stomach. The Stoics had a term for this radical acceptance. They called it Amor Fati, a love of fate, not tolerance, not passive, reluctant acceptance. Love. It sounds impossible. It sounds almost insulting. How do you love a mistake that cost you a decade of your life? How do you love the moment you ruined your own reputation, or shattered a relationship, or walked away from your true calling? 2,000 years ago, someone understood this perfectly. Let us look at a man who lost more than you ever will. It is the year 41 AD. We are on the jagged, windswept island of Corsica. A man sits alone on a barren rock, staring out at the unforgiving Mediterranean Sea. This is Seneca. Yesterday, he was one of the wealthiest, most powerful men in Rome. He was a brilliant playwright, an advisor to the elite, a man who had the ear of the empire. Today, he is in exile, stripped of his fortune, separated from his family, banished to a hostile wasteland because of a political miscalculation, a single catastrophic mistake in the dangerous arena of Roman politics. Seneca could have spent his days staring back toward Rome. He could have played the tape endlessly in his mind. If only I hadn't spoken. If only I had seen the betrayal coming. He could have dragged that massive anchor across the rocks of Corsica until he died of grief. Many exiled men did exactly that. They drank themselves to death. They threw themselves from the cliffs. They went mad with regret, entirely consumed by the ghost of their former lives. But here is what nobody tells you about Seneca. He did not just survive his exile, he used it. He realized that the catastrophic mistake that destroyed his life was the exact event required to make him a philosopher. In Rome, he was distracted. He was caught up in wealth, court intrigue, and the endless noise of high society. On this barren rock, there was nothing but silence. He was forced to confront his own mind. He took the worst mistake of his life, looked at it and said, "This is exactly what I needed." He began to write. He wrote letters that would survive for 2 millennia. He forged a philosophy of resilience that would guide future emperors, generals, and millions of people struggling in the dark. Seneca understood a fundamental law of human psychology. You cannot change the facts of the past. The facts are carved in stone. You failed, you lied, you walked away. You stayed too long. The stone is set. It will not move. But the meaning of the stone? The meaning is fluid. The meaning is completely up to you. And once you see this, you cannot unsee it. Look closer at why you hold on to your guilt. Regret is a twisted form of narcissism. It is your ego desperately trying to maintain the illusion of control. When you replay the tape at 3 a.m., you are telling yourself a comfortable lie. You are saying, "I knew better. I had the power to change it." Be honest with yourself. You did not know better. If you truly knew better in that exact moment, with that exact level of emotional maturity, with the exact information you had, you would have done better. You acted according to the level of awareness you possessed at the time. You were blind. You were scared. You were desperate for validation. To judge your past self with the wisdom you have today is the ultimate act of cruelty. Centuries later, the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung observed the exact same phenomenon. Jung noted that people who run from their past mistakes become neurotic. They fracture. They take the darkest, most foolish parts of themselves and push them into the subconscious. Jung called this the shadow. Your regret is a flashing signal that you are at war with your own shadow. You are looking at the younger, broken version of yourself, and you are treating them like a hostile invader. But that younger version of you is not the enemy. That younger version of you paid the blood tuition for the wisdom you hold today. They walked blindly into the fire so that you could learn what burns. They made the catastrophic error so that you would never have to make it again. And how do you repay them? With constant, unending mental torture. Remember the anchor. You are dragging it across the desert. You are cursing its weight. You are praying for it to miraculously disappear. But the anchor is made of iron. Iron does not disappear. Iron must be forged. You do not free yourself from the past by forgetting it. You free yourself by utilizing it. The guilt you feel right now is just trapped energy. It is raw, combustible fuel. You are sitting on a massive reserve of psychological power, and you are complaining that it is weighing you down. The universe does not punish you. It educates you. But the education only works if you stop arguing with the curriculum. Every terrible decision you made was a necessary fracture in your ego. Your pride had to break so that the truth could get in. If you had not made that specific, humiliating mistake, you would still possess the exact same arrogance that led you to it. You needed to fail. You needed to fall apart. You needed to see the darkest parts of your own nature so you could finally learn how to control them. The shift happens here. You have to look at the ghost standing at the foot of your bed. You have to stop shrinking away from it. You have to look it dead in the eyes. And you have to say the hardest words a human being can ever speak. I needed you to happen. This is where most people quit. They would rather hold on to the familiar pain of regret than step into the terrifying freedom of responsibility. They would rather be a tragic victim of their past than the architect of their future. Don't. You have carried this dead weight long enough. It is time to melt the iron. How do you melt an iron anchor? You forge it into a blade. You have spent years treating your past like a criminal record. You read it to yourself every night to confirm your own guilt. But a criminal record only tells you what you did. It does not tell you what you learned. To break the chains of regret, you must extract the wisdom and burn the rest. The Stoics called this the obstacle becoming the way. The very thing that is crushing you must become the foundation you stand upon. You must stop negotiating with the ghost. You must stop trying to change the unchangeable. You take the pain, the raw, agonizing embarrassment of your failure, and you channel it. Let us apply the ancient medicine, right now. Did you trust the wrong person and get betrayed? Good. You just learned the true value of loyalty, and you will never ignore a red flag again. Did you waste years of your life on the wrong path? Good. You now know exactly what you do not want to be. You bought clarity with your time. Did you ruin a relationship because you were selfish? Good. You have seen the destructive power of your own ego. Now you know the enemy. Did you miss a life-changing opportunity because you were afraid? Good. You felt the bitter sting of cowardice. You will never let fear make your decisions again. Did you fail? Good. You bought a lesson in wisdom. Every single thing you regret is just raw material. You have been looking at a pile of broken stones and crying because your house collapsed. You are the architect. Pick up the stones. Build a stronger fortress. The dominoes are falling. When you finally accept this, something incredible happens in your mind. The tape stops playing. Because the tape only plays when there is a lesson your ego refuses to learn. Once you extract the wisdom and accept the fault, the pain is no longer necessary. The mind drops it. The ghost starves to death. You are not defined by the man you were 5 years ago. You are not defined by your worst mistake. You are defined by what you choose to do with the ashes. Will you sit in them and weep? Or will you use them to fertilize the soil of your future? There is a profound, terrifying freedom in dropping the anchor. It is terrifying because you have no more excuses. Without the heavy weight of your regret to hold you back, you are forced to move. You are forced to act. You are forced to become dangerous. Your past is not a life sentence. It is a training ground. So tonight, let us return to the dark room. It is 3:17 a.m. The city outside is silent. Your body is exhausted, sinking into the mattress. But this time, your mind is not a war zone. The whisper might start. The tape might try to play that old, painful conversation. The ghost might step out of the shadows and try to hand you the heavy iron chain. But now, you know what to do. You look at the ghost, you look at the memory, and you say it clearly. Thank you for the lesson. You are dismissed. And in that silence, something shifts. The phantom dissolves. The anchor turns to dust. The crushing weight lifts off your chest. You breathe deeply, perhaps for the first time in years. You are not a prisoner of a dead timeline. You are the sovereign of the present moment. Sleep well. The war is over. You are safe inside the walls.